Welcome to
bet.
the Hip Hop Guards. It's the journalist Sincere. It's my partner Uncle E, and today we have the special pleasure of being joined by Saga 718. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
No doubt. We connected a few years back. So let's bring it all the way up to maybe, let's say, 2020 pandemic. Just kind of catch us up on, where you were at and some of the projects that you've worked on up until this new project.
The last time I was on here, it was for Agassi or Hagler.
Yeah.
It was that run, right?
Yep.
So yeah, I did the Agassi and Hagler project. That was right before the pandemic, I think those dropped. And then we had the pandemic, and I just zoned out with all my extra time, and I made Wisdom Wears the Crown, which was an intro EP that I dropped that was basically inspired by the movie Phantasm. If you remember that movie, that horror flick from the 70s and shit. I basically took all my samples off. Yeah, I took all the samples off of that basically. And then that was sort of the lead in. That was the appetizer for my other project, Gutter Snipe, which was the full LP. Which I had a couple features on there. Had Rusty Jokes, Ty Ferris, a couple other cats on that project. That was good. It was kind of a weird time for music when things dropped. It wasn't like, I feel like everybody was trying to figure their way. Like it was like either for a while nobody was dropping, and then it was just a weird time to be dropping music. But I had them in the chamber, so I let them go. And I can't like move on to my next project unless I finish the project I'm on. Like I got to get it done and out. I need completion.
Right. So it says you took a 2-year hiatus. What was going on between that time?
Just family, kids, business. All my little hustles on the side, and on top of I didn't stop making music. I have a lot of music. It's just trying to configure how I'm going to release again. Because I felt like, honestly, like when I had dropped Gutter Snipe and Wisdom Wears the Crown, it almost felt like I was releasing it to nothing. It was like, didn't kind of do what I thought it was going to do. So what was my new approach going to be? And I almost felt like releasing music without being busy was a mistake. So what I did was I kind of reformulated, and I wanted a lot of music so that I would have like 60 joints and I can drop them like over the next, so this cycle now. So like the Black Label projects. And from now on, I have like another 6 or 7 projects, EPs, LPs with different artists. The one I'm working on now, I got a project with Trox. That's going to be with a bunch of cats on that. I got a project with my man Noise. It's called Iron Age. I have a project with Mac Montana. That one is called The Best Story Ever Told. I got another project with Iceberg Snub. And then I got my other solo project, Neon Slump. So I got all these projects on deck. It just really is the part is the mixing and mastering, and you know what I'm saying, getting all the artwork done, and then actually timing the releases. On top of the fact that now you can't just release projects. I gotta release like a plethora of singles, like just random me going wilding out on some beat and just launching it out there and being like, you know what I'm saying? Like people's attention spans are not album length attention spans.
No.
So you got to hit them with like just loosies here constantly. So to answer the long answer to that question was the 2 years was to build up that catalog, so much momentum that now everything I release for the next year or whatever 8 months, I'm going to be working on other things that are going to follow behind that.
Right.
Okay. So were you able to sort of figure out how to navigate? I mean, I know you always said about releasing singles constantly to keep people's attention, because they're not listening to full albums. But what about like the marketing and everything behind it? Like, what are you doing as far as that goes?
I'm still using the old school method. I'm still using Jerry, who probably reached out to you.
Mm-hmm.
And then doing pods. Really focusing on moving things because the other thing is trying to figure out. We all know that getting your music played on Spotify might get you some fans, but it doesn't make you money.
Mm-hmm.
So starting to direct people towards direct sales, purchasing a single, purchasing an EP, an album, and really like kind of building a fan base. Like KRS said, man, I'd rather have 100,000 of my own fans, and in our case, we can have 1,000 really good fans. And then if I got dope merch, which I'm coming out with a line of T-shirts, with my logos and my album art on them and stuff like that. So like all that stuff accompanying the music, on top of the fact is how do you introduce lifestyle to it? Because people want, I'll tell you, I'll give you an example. I was in Puerto Rico 2 weeks ago. I was there for my birthday. It was 3 weeks ago now. And I'll post it on social media that I'm in the airport, and I'll have my double shot of Hennessy at the bar, and I'll have a shot of that. Yo, everybody would love that. But I'll post my song, and maybe 3 people will be like, yo, that's fire. But everybody else will look. And that's the fucked up thing about social media, is that you know who's watching, and then you know who's not like fully engaged, and you're
Right,
like, like, you start like getting in your feelings a little bit, like, yo, what's the matter with you,
Yeah. But that's what I mean. Like, it has to be tough because, for example, how do you keep yourself relevant to people with your music? With you know what I mean, in this climate, if you're not doing, let's say, shows or performance somewhere, because just social media alone, that's a little tough these days. If you're not constantly doing something to keep yourself relevant, you know what I mean?
Look, the only avenue for us right now is social media. You could do your little shows and stuff, but I haven't toured since 2017, since I was in Japan and Europe. I'm not doing any touring around the States or anything. So, that could be something I could look into a bit more. But I almost feel like touring doesn't do it. It's like if you do tours, right? If you're doing shows, even like little venues in Manhattan or Brooklyn, the thing that you use shows for is not to gain fans at the shows. It's to promote on social media. It's lifestyle shit. Like people want to see that you're actually living that life,
Right.
So that's what my point is. Like, what am I going to introduce? Like my family life? What am I going to introduce? My hustles? You know what I'm saying? Like Sadat X will be like, I follow him, and he works in a hospital.
Yeah.
So he'd be posting all this hospital stuff, and I'm not really ready to go that like public, with my life. I don't really think it's that interesting, but other people told me I do dope stuff. But it's like, I'm about the music. I'm a purist. So how do I not be a purist in order to promote the thing that I like the best?
Got you. So you want to take us to you mentioned you made all of this music during that time, so you pretty much have everything ready. Which you even have titles to stuff. Sounds like going way down the line and everything. So talk a little bit about this new project that was, here to talk about today. How did you come up and figure out which tracks you wanted to put on this particular album, since you have so much stuff done?
Oh, it's a little hard to hear the question. I think you were breaking up a bit, but you're asking me basically about how we got to the project, right? Like where I'm at
Out
now.
of all the music that you made throughout the time that you said, that you have, how did you decide on the songs that you came up with for this particular album?
Yeah. So here's what happened. I would hear like there's producers always wanted to work with. So I always wanted to work with Trox. I always wanted to work with Duke Westlake, and I always wanted to, and then that Koos, the British producer.
Okay.
I had worked with Quincy Tones before, and I worked with Skiz before. So I had product from Skiz. I have joints in the chamber from him. I had this joint in the chamber from Trox. So this was kind of like all of these different Lucy songs I had, and then I used that to say, okay, how can I construct like the mortar for the bricks. Like, so I had bricks. Like, how am I gonna put this together? So I started, like, because I produced myself, I'm gonna produce songs around these songs to make everything gel and make it all work. So that was really the challenge. So you'll notice, like, earlier in the year, I started releasing some of these singles. I started leaking them here and there. Um, I leaked them, and then I had all these. So, and what happened was, by the time I put everything together, I had 21 songs. And again, because attention spans are so short, it's like I was like, nah, man, it's I'm not gonna just release one 21 song album and then nobody's really even gonna like give a shit about it. So I was like, let me release this in two projects. And it happened to be a coincidence that Pete Rock had a volume 1 with Common at the same time and a volume 2. Like, I was already doing that. So sometimes something's in the ether that's talking to all of us, like, yo, you got all these songs, man. Yo, savor it, man. Let it come out a little at a time. Like, we don't, like, we want to stay busy, but we don't want to overdo it
Like
too. So there's a
oversaturated. Yeah,
fine,
yeah.
yeah, there's a
Right,
fine
right.
balance. So I'm trying to find that balance of not letting what I do overlap each other too much. Like, I want everything to be nice when it comes out. Like, everything got to be paid attention to, because every song is your baby.
Mm-hmm. Right, 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 right.
Can you talk about some of the guest producers on the project?
Yeah, Duke Westlake came to my attention, I don't know, maybe like 5, 6 years ago. And we were talking, but we never really got around to actually making any joints. So I reached out to him. I said, yo, I got to work with this guy, like, even if it's not for an EP or an album, let me get some joints and see how they come out. So he sent me 3 beats. And those are the 3 beats we did. Actually, two. I got another one, which I'm using for something else. But it was just natural because, and the thing I like about Duke Westlake and Kuth is that they make a boom bap, but they make sort of like a modern version where I still kind of make like sort of the Pete Rock, the vintage New York City boom bap sound, Large Pro. They make sort of that more stagger kind of like I talked with like synthy kind of like, but they're still boom bap. Like, the drums are super hard, and so I consider it kind of like a more modern version of what I do. And I always wanted to like do something along those lines. So, and because then a lot of people in my own circle, like whether it's Marco Polo or DJ Skiz, they all kind of do. I kind of do what they do. We all make like boom bap sounding music. So let me work with something different and let me see what I could build around that. So I kind of have an eclectic beat style myself on the projects too. Like, I get into my sort of like my zone, which is soulful stuff, and then I get into some more like dark beats too. So those features and Quincy Tones I've worked with before, and DJ Skiz. So those are just like natural. Like, I could come together with those dudes anytime.
Okay. Can you talk about some of the MCs on this project?
Yeah, MCs, man. Mac Montana, young cat. He's not, he's coming up. He reached out to me, wanted to jump on a joint. So I was like, oh, hell yeah, why not? Like, I'm always like, the one thing that I don't like gatekeeping. I don't like doing because I'm doing something and I'm in a certain level to not let other people on. Like, that's something that I always hated, even for myself, working with people that were kind of like maybe levels ahead of me, that kind of feel a way like I want to put people on. You know what I'm saying? Like, people put me on, so I have to do the same. I know people that get put on by bigger names, but never pay it forward. So you always got to pay it forward, because they also, when they're fresh, you know what I'm saying, and they're hungry, they motivate me. You know what I'm saying? They drive me to push more.
Right.
Because I got to get myself into the mind frame of I come from the time where, like, people put out one album a year, maybe two.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I got to get myself into the zone where I'm actually making things every week. Every week I can make a joint now. And I sort of had to retrain myself to be prolific in that way, where I'm producing, like, I can make 5 or 10 beats in a weekend, and I could write at least 1 or 2 joints if I wanted to in a weekend.
Right.
That's
What's the concept behind Black Label Saga?
Yeah, Black Label Saga. The idea is like anything that's you have white label and you have black label. So black label is kind of like my personal curated sound. Like, a white label would be sort of somebody else taking somebody else's stuff and compiling it and releasing it on behalf of those people. Black Label is me curating my own music, and that's what I mean by curating. I'm working with a eclectic set of producers and MCs, and I'm putting everything together, and then I'm dropping that all in one foul swoop as my own curated brand. So it's almost like I'm giving you my personal stash. You know what I'm saying? Like I invited you into the wine cellar for the stuff that I've been cooking up myself for myself.
Right. Dope.
You on this particular project, there's a few songs that you produced yourself. I'm just curious, how do you do that process? Do you make beats or produce songs and then write to it? Or do you have, how do you do that whole process?
I have an infinite amount of processes. I usually don't write first, but
Okay.
sometimes I'll start with a sample. I'll hear a sample.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes I'll start with a bass line. Sometimes I'll start with the drums. Like it depends on what I'm trying to do. If I'm trying to do like something that's drum focused, like I want the drums to be the main characteristic, I will start with my drums and I'll make them as hard as possible. And then if I want it to be rhythm centered, so like the samples are basically just the condiments on top of it, where the bass lines and drums are the key feature. Then I'll start with drums and bass lines, or sometimes just the bass line. And then sometimes it'll be just I'll hear the sound like a guitar lick that's like super eerie or creepy, and I'll
Mhm.
start with that. So whatever really puts me in the zone. And then what happens is I'll sometimes auto write. So, but I'll write like lines. So I'll write an idea like a line here, line there, and then usually I won't write the song until the beat is done. But I'll take those little lines and I'll let those be the motivation and inspiration how I'm going to put the song together. Once the beat is done, and then sometimes it's just if my man Noise is in the studio with me, that's the project we worked on. That was like all auto. Like he come over to the crib and we made this project Iron Age. It's 15 songs. Um, he just came over every weekend and we just kept doing 2, 3 joints here and there. Like it really like came together very fluently, not forced. Over probably like 3 months.
Mhm.
Like it took a while. Like we spaced the joints out. So another long answer, but basically, like there's a litany of ways that I'll do things. Sometimes sometimes I will just write. Like if I'm driving, I'll sometimes just auto write ideas and like
Mhm.
lines. Okay, and then I'll sort of take those lines like Legos and stack them. Like okay, I'm gonna put that line here. I'm gonna put that line here, and I let those lines build the rest of that song.
Yeah, that's crazy. I always wondered, like, I always felt that as a writer, like somebody that just writes, doesn't produce, just to come up with the idea, the concepts, how that rhyme and song is going to flow. And then you kind of find someone that might have a beat that it matches with. In my mind, it feels like, how do you come up with a rhyme and then also try to come up with a beat to go with that rhyme? It sounds like you got so much shit going on in your head. You know what I
I
mean?
do. I do.
Like, yeah, right. It got to be crazy.
I'm super ADD, man. When it comes to
Yeah.
when it comes to music, man, I'm like I'm all over the place, and that's the thing. I kind of embrace that in a way. It's like counterproductive in my personal life, but I embrace my ADHD when it comes to music
Uh-huh.
because I don't want anything to feel formulaic. I don't want it to. I don't want things. I want to be spontaneous.
Okay.
So sometimes if I'm just writing, I want to like if I feel like I need to write, I write. If I feel like I need to make a beat, if I feel
Mhm.
like I'm in the middle of the beat, I need to start writing, I'll do that. Sometimes I'll make 10 beats, I'll put them all together and I'll listen to them in the whip back to back and then I'll start auto writing to one of them. So I don't really like I'm saying there's no straight formula for it anymore. And I've been in the studio with enough producers producing projects that sometimes you don't have the luxury, you know what I'm saying, of since I produce and I got the studio set up in my crib, I got the mic next to everything,
Mhm.
so I could just click over on my Logic to my Apollo Twin and just start rapping, man. And I could almost freestyle everything I do. So I just like sometimes freestyle to find my pocket,
Mhm.
and then once I get that pocket, once I find myself zoning, then I
Mhm.
start writing.
All
Then I
right.
come back and I'll throw those lines on. And I'm like, yo, does that work? It allowed me to like the process is different in that way, where it allowed me to basically adjust everything I do in real time. So I didn't have to make a beat and then write a song and then rap to it and then put it and then listen to it and be like, nah, I don't like this, I don't like that. I know what I like in real time. Like I could be like, oh, that line is trash, and I change it right there. Like I'm
Right,
not
right.
stuck with things down. So yeah, that I love that. I love that process.
You self-taught with the producing?
Yeah. Well, I'm self-taught. I've been in a studio with. I've worked with so many producers at this point, like from Ayatollah to Marco Polo to Skiz to. I've been in a studio with Knots. I've been in a studio with Thelonious Martin. I've watched their processes, and the thing I learned from them, like they all have different methods. Some are technical, and some are feeling producers. So I one thing I learned from. I used to try to be more technical, but then I try to be more feeling
Feeling,
because
right, right.
feeling lends itself to being able to auto write in real time and stuff like that. Like I don't want to be technical. I want to be able to make a beat on anything. And like because when you're technical, then you get like stuck on working with this particular machine or this particular thing. And I find like because it just allows me more flexibility, which
Freedom, a
is
little
what I
more
like to
freedom
do.
too, right?
And like just being feeling about it.
Mhm.
So it learned me. It taught me to stop like quantizing my drums and stop
Right, right,
overdoing it. You know, you don't stop overthinking it and really start overfeeling it.
right, 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 right.
What has the reception been like for this project so far?
It's been good, man. Both projects have like different receptions. I think Volume 2 is liked more, but Volume 1 because it was out of the gate got more attention. Like
Oh,
it's sort of because it hit people cold. And then Volume 2 came out and it's hard to tell, man. Like a lot of my feedback is they like Volume 2 better, but Volume 1 got more attention. And so I feel like it got a really good reception. I feel like a lot of people hit me up. A lot of people were like, yeah. But how does that translate into bucks? You know what I'm saying? Like,
right, right.
Can you talk a little bit about the importance of physical copies in 2024?
ah, man, I've been reluctant to put out physicals. I feel like merch is more the way. I mean, because physicals is kind of a merch thing, right? Like it's
Mhm.
like people collect physicals, and I probably will do a limited run on a bunch of these projects I'm putting out. But the thing is, when you're putting out 6, 7 projects, A, that's a lot of bread, right?
Right,
And
right,
then
right.
B, it's like which ones do you choose? Which ones? So it's almost like I want to release things and see what the reception is for
Mhm.
which ones are going to be like the best, and then make a physical for them, like a limited run of maybe cassettes and even CDs. Because even people that I talk to who release a lot of physicals say that the CDs do better than the vinyl now. So go figure.
Wow. Yeah, that's weird.
Crazy. You
Yeah.
said
So it's like and also like merch, t-shirts and stuff like that to accompany. So I got a couple ideas with that, which I haven't seen anybody do. So maybe I'll be the first one out the gate with this idea. So I'm not going to spoil it right here.
Okay.
you said you hadn't been on tour in a while. Any plans to tour off this project?
Unless somebody approaches me to open up for them or something like that. No, I got no approach. Let me just turn this way because that car light is probably like interfering. Um, no, I don't have any. Like I'm gonna line up some shows to do around the city, but I'd love to do a tour. But I don't know, man. I feel like touring is not the same since COVID. It's a lot more sparse. Like I try to get on people's acts for opening up and stuff like that, but it just doesn't click. It hasn't clicked yet. So I feel like I'm just gonna do my little shows here and there, and then again on top of it, like pick a market, right? Pick a market to like blow in. Whether that's a European market or Latin American market or somewhere around the United States or Canada, but pick a market, focus on that market, and then just target them and go in there and do your shows there.
Right.
So it's like there's so many. The problem is there's so many options for so many things, whether it's how to release your music, what market to focus on. It's almost like when you have too many options, you don't know which one to choose. So you get stuck.
Mm.
For the fans viewing this, where can they pick up your new album?
You can get the album everywhere. Really, just go to my Bandcamp if you want to cop it direct and support like the next project. Then you go to all the streaming platforms. It's available on Apple, iTunes, whatever. You know, you pick the Spotify, whichever one your favorite is. Title. It's on everything. But in all reality, like if you go to my Bandcamp and you cop it, like even whatever, like you could pay whatever you want. Um, that basically funds all my projects. You know,
Hmm.
and so that's really like the litmus test for me moving forward, like how so I do get support. Most people are supporting me on Bandcamp, really. I mean, I see my streams everywhere where they're going, you know, but you know what it is, even if you're a major artist on streaming platforms, you're not making any dough. Like that's
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
Right. What
Yeah.
about merch? Do you have something separate where they can find your merch at?
The merch will be on Bandcamp, and then basically you'll start seeing it flooding on social media at some point as soon as everything is done and ready to go. But like I said, I'm I'm waiting to start releasing a few projects in order to like, you know, I want everything to be real heated up, like to its max potential, and then start releasing the merch and let everybody so people could go into the backlog. Because I'll release stuff for Agassi, I'll release stuff for Hagler, for Wisdom Wears the Crown, I'll release merch for everything. I just wanted to make sure like things are hit, you know.
Right.
I got T-shirts I'm sitting on still, like from the last merch run I did. You know, like I'm
Yeah.
still sitting on them. You know, some of them I keep for myself, but and I hold some for that reason. So for the future, like these are like old releases are coming back out along with the new releases. You know,
So then you can put it out with that. Yeah, just out of curiosity, do you can you see the benefit of having, let's say, your music on a Spotify and streaming platforms like that, and then you have also on Bandcamp? Do you see the benefit of having it on the streaming apps as opposed to just having it on Bandcamp alone, so that way everybody goes directly there? Like, do you see any traffic coming from the streaming services over?
I don't know. I don't know. Honestly, man, I can't really tell exactly where the traffic on Bandcamp is coming from. It might be coming from Bandcamp itself because you know they promote you, like if you release it a certain way, like there's certain tricks to releasing on Bandcamp, and when you release it the right way, they'll top tier you. They'll put you like as soon as people go on Bandcamp, like who don't even know who you are.
Mhm.
So there's that. There's social media. There's plugging it, constantly plugging it. You know, also something that helps too is when I do reels and I do stories and I post the links. Like
Okay.
the
Mhm.
links allow people to tap in to that source. So it's really about me focusing on which one am I going to personally focus on? Because Soul Spasm, who does my digital distribution, focus on my platform. So they're getting it out there on all those digital platforms. Me, I need to focus on the Bandcamp because that's where I'm going to make money, and I need to focus on merch. So that
Right.
those are the two areas where I'll sustain myself because it's not going to come from streaming. Streaming, I guess, helps to get is brand recognition. People know your name if you get on playlists. Oh, I noticed from this, and then so it's familiarity.
Right.
Like
Right.
that's really what it is. You want people to be familiar with what you do, and then oh, I heard that joint, I heard this, I heard him here before. So, and that happens a lot of times when I'm on compilations. So my first compilation was Marco's Stupendous Adventures. I was
Mhm.
on that compilation, and people heard me there. So then when they heard my music, oh, I remember you from that. And then I was on Skiz's compilation, and then he said, oh, I remember you from Skiz's. So it's really about networking as well as like you're picking one thing that you want to promote too, and then you focus on that, you know?
Got you. Got you. Yeah. In this music, as far as hip hop goes, how do you define success for yourself in hip hop?
Honestly, man, people who hit me up and just say they love my music. You know what I'm saying? People who say like, "Yo, if my music is like inspiration or beneficial or become part of people's personal soundtracks for their life, that's really like one of the more important things." You know what I'm saying? I'm kind of like I'm not bread struggling, honestly. Like I'm all right. So my hunger doesn't come from there. And I heard an interview with what's his face? RJ Payne. I had an
Okay.
interview with him where he said he went down to, I think he went to Alabama, he moved to Alabama and he got his life correct after like making a band and stuff. And he reformulated himself. And basically, once his bread was right, everything he did was just for the passion. So that's really where I'm at. Like everything I do is for the passion. So to feed that passion is when people give me that feedback. You're like, yo, I love what you do, or they, that kind of stuff. Like that's more important to me than anything.
Got you. I just was curious, like, 'cause I find it's a weird. We're in a weird time when it comes to music, especially like in hip hop. So I'm always curious to know what keeps someone motivated to still be going, you know, and
Yeah,
doing
it's
what
really
they
my
do.
personal passion. Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool.
But that's a consensus, honestly, though. Like even people I know, I talk to who are like, I'm not gonna say no names, but are on like higher levels than me. You know what I'm saying? They're much more well known. They don't make their money off of like the music per se.
Hmm.
They make it off all that other,
Doing other
like that
things.
secondary and tertiary kind of thing. They don't make it off of like just selling anything like a record or digital streaming. They're not making money off of that. They're
Gotcha.
making money off of sample packs. They're
Right.
making money off of tours. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's really like what's it going to be for me. It's going to be that it's going to be about feedback. Like people appreciating what I do
Gotcha.
because I think I'm getting better. I think like from the time like from my first project out till now is like night and day. Like I almost don't even want to like go back to like even though they're good projects, like I'm so much better now. So it theoretically I should be getting more attention because I'm better now, but because the market is so strange, it's not. It's weird, man.
Right.
After this project does its thing, I know you listed quite a few projects you're working on, but what can we expect on the follow up?
Yeah, next project is Best Story Ever Told. Me and Mac Montana, produced by myself. It's a 6-song EP. After that, I have Regatta with Iceberg Snub, another EP. After that, I'm releasing the Iron Age album with Noise. He's been on a couple of joints of mine too. He was on this project, Black Label Saga, the first. He was on Amethyst. He was on a couple other joints. We have our 15-song LP. Then I have Neon Slum, which is my solo LP, which will probably be just me, no features, because I got so many features on other things. And then I have the Trox project, which is really a me and Trox project, but I'm adding a bunch of features on that to other feature MCs, make that feature heavy. That's an 8-song EP. It's called Piranha Head.
Hmm.
You were just talking,
So yeah,
you were just talking about top tier MCs, not making money per se off their music, but other avenues. Is there any other avenues that you're looking to pursue outside of music?
for money or for just my own sanity.
Your own sanity.
I started taking jujitsu last year.
Nice.
I I used to box. Like I grew up boxing. I used to fight out of Starrett City in Brooklyn, and then I used to fight. And then I was still training through Gleason's, and then so
Decent.
I have a combat background. But my brother's been in jujitsu for like 13 years. He's a black belt technically, and he's been trying to get me to do that shit for like 5 or 6 years, especially like during the pandemic. But I really never thought I'm not a wrestler by nature. Like it wasn't my thing. I didn't grow up doing that. I grew up standing up fighting.
Right.
So I started to take jujitsu, and it's crazy because that really takes like that opens up something else in your brain, the way you approach things. Like um, it definitely helps in other aspects of life. So there's that. I got my real estate investments and stuff like that. I bought a crib in Florida, so I still got my crib. I got a crib in apartment in Brooklyn. I got a crib, a multifamily in Jersey, and I got a crib down in Florida. So I'm kind of like I kind of expanded it that way as well. So let me get into more real estate investments. And here's a crazy thing: we are so ignorant when it comes to finance. Like I was ignorant. I always made money, but if I had like 5, 10 years ago knew some things that I know now, boy, I would have been a different story, right? You know what I'm saying? Like right now,
Right.
it
Right.
would have been so. But and the crazy thing is, you learn this through social media because our education system sucks so bad. Like they should be teaching about finance and how to use money when we're like in grade school, and you know what I'm saying, when we're in high school. They should be learning, like kids should be learning that. And there were rich people who do teach it, like you know that now. Like wealthy people teach their kids how to use money, how to make
Mm.
money work for them.
Right.
And that's something that I'm finally like learning. Like I always did real estate stuff, but I'm talking about trying to make my money work for me in other ways. So I'm kind of branching out into that kind of stuff now. So I'm on like a four-year plan. I'm on a 5-year plan. I'm 1 year deep right now. So I'll let you know in like 4 years. We'll do interviews between now and then, but you're gonna know where we're at in like 5 years. If I'm super caked up, you know what I'm saying? We'll do the interview from the from like the palatial estate. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, real quick, man. Can you how was it when you said you trained at Gleason's? How was that?
It was good. I didn't fight for Gleason's. I fought for Star City. I was already
Okay.
done by the time but I used
Oh,
to train at Gleason's. So I was in the gym and I used to spar and stuff like that. I used to spar with the fighters, and I had a couple of trainers. And one of my trainer in Star City was Andre Rosier. You know who he is?
okay. Okay, I've heard of him. Yeah.
Danny Jacobs and Curtis Stevens trainer.
Okay,
He was
okay.
my trainer before he was big.
Oh,
Like when
wow.
I was pretty much done fighting, Danny Jacobs was kind of a little kid coming in.
Mm,
So once
yeah.
I was kind of done, I was done with getting punched in the head, and I was like, "Yo, I'm a little smarter than this, and let me not get like some brain damage." So I
Yeah.
stopped at about 25.
Gotcha. That's dope, man.
Yeah,
Yo, can you shout out your social media, let everybody know where they can keep up with Saga and everything you got going on? Whatever it is, Instagram, Facebook, anything you want to plug in real quick.
yeah, man. I'm everywhere. I'm everywhere, but where I should be, right? Everything is under my name is Saga, but it's all under Saga 718. Because when you start looking up Saga, you start getting a lot of weird Saga stuff. So just search me Saga 718 on all socials: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Which Facebook feels like it's like nothing anymore. Don't do anything, but yeah, Saga 718 on Bandcamp. If you're gonna look for me on like streaming platforms, um, you could look under Saga 718 or look up albums. So Black Label Saga, things will come up like directly that way. So I'm everywhere. I'm ubiquitous pretty much.
No doubt.
Dope, dope.
Big shout out to Jerry Graham for linking us once again.
Yes, sir.
Yes, thank you, Jeff.
Big shout
Yeah,
out
he's
to
the man.
for pulling over and sharing a moment with us.
Yeah.
So salute.
You still didn't tell us what that top secret thing is you got going on down there.
Yeah, I mean, North Carolina is a little bit of a giveaway, but I don't want to jinx it, so I'm not spilling the beans on that just yet. But once that's solidified on the next drop or the drop after that, we'll
Okay.
talk about it.
Gotcha.
Out. The Black Label Saga is out now. You can find it on
Yes,
all
yes.
platforms. That we appreciate you for joining us this evening, and we'll see you again in the near future.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me again. Always a
Yes.
pleasure.
Dope.
All right, fellas. Yo,
All right,
peace.
man.
Always a
Be
pleasure,
good,
man.
man. Get home safe, bro.
All right. Thank you, man.